The DSS is now fully operational. Helldivers 2 is nominated for several game awards. And the devs talk crossovers. Let's dive into it. Welcome back, Helldivers. How's everybody doing out there? As mentioned in the opening, the DSS is now fully operational. People are pretty upset online. There's all sorts of talk about how it is killing everybody. But this is Helldivers. I'm not sure what everybody was expecting. An orbital bombardment, you don't have to be on the planet that it's dropping all sorts of bombs onto, but you can go down there, but you're taking your chances. In response, they gave us the shield. They gave us some stuff to kind of circumvent the bombardment. A lot of people were upset that the orbital bombardment was basically the trader bombardment from, they're calling it a reskin, but I don't know if I agree with that. I've played plenty of games that reskin content, that literally just have you replay missions you've already completed in reverse. And that's not really this, if you ask me. That's not to say that, people don't have reason to be upset. If enough people are unhappy with it, then they should consider doing something, and they did. So I think it's one thing to speak your mind. It's another thing to come at the devs with a bunch of negativity, which is what I was seeing online. Lots of negativity. And not really down with that. So I've got this article here. We'll start off with from Harvey Randall on PC Gamer. Helldivers 2 endure sarcastic propaganda that commends their undeniable tactical brilliance after the Blob abandons a nearly won objective for basically no reason. Subheading, Democracy in Action. The article reads, "Folks, I think we might have democracied a little too close to the sun on this one. In case you've not been keeping up, Helldivers 2 recently introduced the Democracy Space Station, which, after a brief hiccup where it kept blasting them into low orbit, has mostly served to empower the soldiers of liberty with eagle bombardments and special powers, guided across the galaxy by their vote. The wish for more control over the battlefield is granted, and yet the eagle's claw curls. See, the latest major order, Operation Spark of Liberty, has ended in success." It's obviously not the current. Those quotes are Arrowhead's inclusion, not mine. Quote-unquote success. "While the major order's conditions have been technically met to hold Gallivare while killing 500 million Terminids, you might notice that Gallivare is currently under automaton control. This is perhaps the largest case of mission failed successfully that Helldivers 2 has encountered so far. And it started with a Gambit. In case you're unfamiliar, these are specific objectives provided by Arrowhead that allow players to save planets in one fell swoop, as the dispatch at the time read. Quote, "Enemy forces stage their attacks on our planets from an originating planet. Liberating the originating planet ends the enemy attack immediately. In the current operational context, liberating Mastia would end the current automaton attack on Gallivare." Things looked pretty good initially. Helldivers voted for the station to head over to Mastia, and surely with their help it'd be smashed. They started fighting tooth and nail, as the Democratic Space Station slowly drifted back to Gallivare when Mastia was at around 70% liberation percentage. This was, from what I can tell, intended to buy the Helldivers some time, shoring up Gallivare's defenses while the actual ground troops stayed on Mastia. But it seemed like the hive mind, parentheses, this is a metaphor, I am not a bug-loving trader, end parentheses, follow the DSS back to Gallivare in the same way certain kinds of mold I'm not sure. Navigate their way to the nearest food source. Oh, okay. Sorry, I think he's European, so there's a U in there. Threw me off. I actually hopped on over to Helldivers.io and decided to layer both player count graphs from the 2 planets so you can see the exact instant everyone decided to mess things up. The red line is Gallivare. And obviously I can't show you the graph, but Mastia's liberation percentage plummeted and the Gambit failed, leading to the following dispatch from Super Earth High Command, dripping with sarcasm. Quote, "The Helldivers, in their democratic direction of the DSS, displayed undeniable technical brilliance, demonstrating once again why they are known as the galaxy's most elite fighting force. Their efforts held the automaton onslaught long enough to allow emergency evacuation efforts to save many citizens, many of whom aided in the construction of the space station. If it wasn't enough, there are air quotes around the word success. Ouch." The community, meanwhile, is somewhere between holding its head in its hands and laughing at the outright satire of the fumble. One player writes on the game's subreddit, "This game has successfully demonstrated something that very, very few games ever do. The incredible degree to which the average player does not read and does not care." In a separate thread, the aptly named user Captain Explosions writes, "Seif Command handed an orbital battle station to a bunch of propaganda-hyped, utterly disposable cannon fodder with zero strategic acumen and an average recruitment age of 18. Of course it wound up a complete S show. It'd be like handing command of a fully laden aircraft carrier over to 3 classes of college freshmen and telling them to dispense orders by popular vote. Things aren't much better on the game's Discord server. No, they are not. With many users decrying the Blob, that is, the apparent phenomenon of the game's community just following the DSS like a toddler, waddling after their collective parents. There's a quote I'm reminded of from Men in Black here. Quote, "A person is smart, people are dumb, panicky, dangerous animals, and you know it," end quote. That's actually, that's George Carlin was the first person I heard say that. Something like that. The individual is smart. Groups are dumb. Honestly, I'd rather this kind of outcome cause frustration than wind up with developer-caused disappointments like the Men Kent line. While this is a clear signal Arrowhead needs to look at how their UI communicates the importance of strategic objectives, it's also just objectively hilarious. Joel really did give everyone the tools they needed to succeed, but the simple fact of the matter is that we're a bunch of ants with guns, and we go where the Blob bids us. So, yeah, apparently there are planets, and I thought I saw something on the UI in-game talking about how, this is where the automaton jet brigade is launching from, and if you take this, it slows everything else down. So I'm sure they're working on creating more obvious ways to communicate, what advantages we can get for ourselves. But in the meantime, people were upset. People were very disappointed in the DSS's unveiling, I guess you could say. And I don't know. I feel like at this point, if you don't, and again, I'm not saying that there was nothing wrong with it and that people shouldn't speak their minds if there is a problem. But I kind of lean toward finding it hilarious that we spent this time building this thing and it came back to haunt us. That I think is kind of funny. Like, oh yeah, work to build this thing. We build this thing. It's there. And then it's just blowing us up from the sky. Like, I don't know. I get it. If you're coming in here and you just want to wreck everything, you don't want to get killed like that. I could see, that would be very frustrating. I could see some in-game circumstances where that would be frustrating. You're doing a level 9 or something like that, and all of a sudden you get hit from space and it wipes everybody. Now you don't have your support weapons and everything's going crazy. So I could see why it would be frustrating. But I think it's going to be okay. They're already working on things to make it less annoying for those of you who are annoyed. Helldivers 2 has been nominated for a handful of game awards. I feel rightfully so. Currently up for Best Community Support, Best Multiplayer, Best Action Game, and Best Ongoing Game. Yeah, I don't know if it's really fair for me to comment on whether or not it should beat the other games, because this is pretty much the game that I've been playing all year, at least, since it came out. I've dabbled in a couple other games. I'm starting to get the hang of Space Marine 2. I play college football, which, came out for the first time in like a decade. But in terms of like online co-op fun, this game easily takes the cake for me. So I will be casting my vote for Helldivers 2. And that brings me to a post from the Facebook group talking about some interesting things that could be coming up. Helldiver Brute Sword posted this. So there was a lecture with Shams and Johan at the Korean Gaming Conference. So I'm kind of jumping into the middle here. Like the original post is all in Korean, so I'm going off of the translation that was posted, and it's a little broken up, but I'll read some of these to kind of give you an idea. So Johan says, I think Korea is the country that deploys the most Helldivers among Asian countries. When the American Helldivers go to bed and the battlefield calms down, the Korean Helldivers go to the battlefield and continue the advance for democracy. I am always grateful and will continue to provide great updates that make us forget all the disappointing things we have shown so far. Just one last thing to add. There are 3 big ones coming soon. The interviewer says 3. Johan says, right, 3. I can't tell you right now, but 3. So they're already planning 3 big updates. So who knows? That could be anything. The question reads, then can you tell me about wheeled vehicles, armored vehicles, or reconnaissance vehicles? Johan, Super Earth is conducting various experiments to improve the mobility of Helldivers. Shams, however, it is too dangerous to send expensive equipment to the battlefield. Vehicles are too expensive. Super Earth is sensitive to the economics of the battlefield and doubts the driving skills of Helldivers. Of course, it would be fun to put 4 Helldivers in one vehicle and run around shooting guns. But, Johan, I'm not sure if Helldivers are old enough to drive. Shams, they are close to 18, but not yet. Question, come to think of it, my Helldiver couldn't save more than 50,000 credits. I guess the cars are quite expensive. Shams, the car will probably cost around 55,000 credits. Johan, on a more serious note, vehicle updates are in the plans. It will be added soon, but I don't think I can go into more detail on that. So the vehicles are coming. The vehicles are coming eventually. So that's going to be crazy. That's going to be a lot of fun. Question. Now, rather than talking about the past, I would like to talk about the future. From a gamer's perspective, there are many gamers who have already completed all the upgrades and unlocked equipment and are hoarding resources. Can you tell us about the new growth system? Johan, this is a topic that is top of mind for us right now. Shams, we knew that there were a lot of gamers who had already completed all their progress around April or May. We added a difficulty level and raised the ship module to a higher level, but in fact, as I said several times before, we were focusing more on fixing existing problems rather than creating something new. At this point, we are now focused on creating more immersive content for gamers. As of today, November 14th, the Democratic Space Station has been activated and gamers with overflowing resources can now invest their resources. More features will be enabled next week. Starting today, gamers can vote to choose what they want and what they receive through voting. We plan to continue adding such player participatory content in the future. In addition to this, we are also planning crossovers with other IPs. We don't want to do too many crossovers, but we are fully considering appropriate collaboration to suit the game's atmosphere. For example, collaboration with Power Rangers would be difficult in concept, but wouldn't it be possible to do something like Black Ranger? That's what I want. So, yeah, more features enabled next week for the DSS. So that's going to be interesting. Moving on, Sham says, the update that many people are hoping for is probably already on our roadmap. However, it's just not right now. We've been looking at the community every day since the fiasco, and we're considering everything as long as it's not too outrageous. Perhaps many people at the time were so frustrated with our lack of communication that they turned into chaos divers. Johan, right now I'm thinking about how to incorporate these chaos divers into the game. So there you go. If you're a chaos diver, they are aware of you. They are thinking about it. Shams, we couldn't react quickly at the time, but it will be different in the future. The bombardment of the negative reviews about the game was heartbreaking at the time, but when I think about it now, it was a very fortunate thing that gamers spoke with one voice and took action, and that these negative reactions became the medicine that led us to where we are today. So, wow, how about that? I mean, these guys, just over and over again, these guys prove themselves to be high-quality people. Even if the game is moving in a negative direction, it would be much better to have a negative reaction than to say nothing. At this point, we feel we took the right path, and our grateful gamers are satisfied. Let's see. When it comes to crossovers with other IPs, what exactly do you mean? Johan, it hasn't been decided yet. I also think IPs like Warhammer are good. Shams, I think Alien would be a pretty good theme. What do you think? What do you think would be good? Reporter, wouldn't an IP like StarCraft or Starship Troopers be the best fit? Shams, I think it would be good to bring Zerg from StarCraft, and I think it would also be good to bring Terran Marine weapons, something like a Gauss rifle. So that's basically everything that came up there in that one. So it seems, this game just continues to get more awesome. And as I said before, I'm not opposed, because without the people giving the feedback, the game wouldn't be where it's at now, like the buffs and including things like the Democracy Space Station, where we're voting and contributing resources to get certain benefits. Like, the way that this game is evolving should be exciting for everybody. It is for me. All right. I am going to read a story from the Discord, Burnt Bridges. Mission report Gacrux, training for fire safety officers' prior missions. Sir, I'm worried about a recent squad of divers, sir. Recently, it seems that staff complain that the divers have been using the firebomb helipods excessively on Gravcrux, as you know, sir. Gravrux is a planet with shrubberies, green pockets of combustible swamp gas, rich methane jets, red barrels to sit on and enjoy your 2.3 second breaks, and large fallen trees. Well, sir, it's not just the excessive pod use, sir, but the obvious lack of diver fire safety training, sir. Because in preparation for a dive onto Tinderbox Gravrux, sir, the divers wore their I-09 heatseekers and I-102 Draconauts and hugged the crew goodbye with confidence in their 75% inflammability, sir. I don't think they know what inflammable means, sir, because they packed for wood, sir. Not terminates, but wood. They took it all. The Flam 40 flamethrower, the Flam 66 torture, boxes and pods of G10 and G13 incendiaries. I'm certain 2 of them had P72 crispers, and they're only good for toast and cooking the legs off hunters. And then there were the XO49 Emancipators and XO45 Patriots, very safe with their bright safety colors, sir. But the handling, sir. They walked those exosuits clean through the trees. Not around them, but through the trees. And that's not the worst bit. Sir, they even had MD-I4s. They were incendiary mines, sir. No diver likes mines. Now, sir, all I'm saying is that with all this freedom and the rumors of a new napalm orbital, perhaps the divers should read the 3-page pamphlet or something before we allow them to call themselves fire safety officers. Record of the Gakrux Mission Geological Survey. 4 challenging. Mission timer, 28 minutes, 22 seconds. Fire Safety Officer Morton. Fire Safety Officer Winters. Fire Safety Officer Vega. Space Cadet of Burnt Bridges. This came out a while ago. This is another older story. But, yeah. But there it is. So, sorry for taking so long to get to it. I'm sure, you guys probably had a blast with all those incendiary devices. I don't really use them a lot myself, but they are fun when I do get around to using them. All right, I am going to read a couple of ship names, and then I'm going to get out of here. So, Sepia Thief. The SES Force of Starlight, entering low orbit. Thank you, Sepia Thief. Thank you for your service. Filthy. The SES Sovereign of Family Values, ready to serve. Thank you. Thank you very much. Bread. My brother's ship name. Hey, tell your brother I said hey. And if he's playing, what's up? My brother's ship name is the SES Defender of Glory. Yeah. Good stuff. Thank you for your service. Last one for today, Smelatonin Madman, the SES Prophet of Truth. Smelliest ship in the fleet. Yeah, that's for sure. All right. Thanks for hanging out for a little bit. Just wanted to give you guys a little bit of an update on how things are going. But, in the meantime, between now and when Lido and I can get together for another duo episode, right? So, thanks for sticking around. We'll catch you guys Starside. This is Super Earth Podcast signing off. All Super Earth Podcast content is based on the game Helldivers 2, created by Arrowhead Game Studios and published by Sony Interactive Entertainment.